At this point in his career, Josh Hart is seen as a troll or a jokester. But when it comes to the basketball fundamentals and working on his game, he is absolutely serious. And in a week, he is going to be working with a shooting specialist on trying to fine-tune his jump shot. We're also going to take a look at today Chuma Okeke, the newest Knick. We're going to take a look at his deal, what it means for the Knicks moving forward, their roster, and also if it affects their mid-level exception on what they have left to give another free agent. We're going to break down all of these reports and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. Josh Hart is working on his jump shot. When I first read this report, it put a smile to my face because I think everybody saw how valuable Josh Hart is to this team last season. Not only was he a walking triple-double for about a month or so, but he was also giving the Knicks points when we needed him to. He was going coast to coast, nearly unstoppable, passing the ball, rebounding the ball, better than some centers in the league. He was doing all of that for the Knicks. However, I think we all saw the same issue. When he was in the corner or at the perimeter, we saw him do the same exact move. Hesitate and then try to penetrate to go to the rim. However, the problem was he always did that move, no matter where he was. But when he was going to shoot the three, he was nearly always doing it. And everybody saw it coming because he didn't have confidence in his jump shot, not in that three ball. But now he is continuously working on that jump shot so he can be more of a threat when he has the ball in his hands. And if he's coming off the bench and he's more automatic from three, this is going to be scary hours for the league when they're facing this Knicks roster. Let's go ahead and break down these latest reports from SNY's Ian Begley about Josh Hart meeting with the shooting specialist on August 5th. According to Begley, another offseason date next week looms large for the Knicks. August 5th. That day, Mark Kamljak will meet Josh Hart at an empty gym somewhere in South Florida. The Knicks do-it-all guard/forward will spend the next 2 weeks with Mark to fine-tune the granular details of his jump shot. According to Mark, he knows what he has to do. He's got a great concentration, and he knows that it's been worth it. There's no formula to measure the exact value of these shooting sessions, but Hart's 2023 to 2024 season gives you an idea of their impact. According to Ian Begley, before the playoffs, Josh Hart did not like how he was shooting the three, and because of that, he called Mark and spoke about the situation, and they worked on that shot. According to Begley, he didn't like how he was shooting the ball, so he called Mark late in the season and asked him to come to town. Mark said he needed at least 4 sessions before Game 1 of New York series against the Philadelphia 76ers to get Hart in a good place. So during the 6-day break between the end of the regular season and the playoffs, Hart and Mark met at a local Westchester gym and they went to work. According to Kamljak, he states, the stuff we did was more rudimentary and more mental. Like, hey, let's clean up these movements, and the simpler and smoother he looks, the better he shoots. Biomechanically, the cleaner we can make you, the simpler we can make you, the better you'll shoot. Shout out to Ian Begley for giving us the following updates about Josh Hart going to work with shooting specialist Mark Kamljak. This is a very good update, as I stated before. Him working on that shot, his jump shot, his three-point shot, him understanding that before the playoffs, that's what he needed to do. And then we saw it in the playoffs. He became a three-point shooter for this Knicks team. He wasn't doing that during the regular season. If anything, he was avoiding it during the regular season. But because he worked on it before the playoffs, he started going to it. He started trusting it. And you saw the work for yourself. You're telling me this guy, Mark, doesn't have a positive effect on Josh Hart? And now he's going to do it again for another 5 to 6 days? This is going to mean a lot for Josh Hart and his game next season, especially coming off the bench for the Knicks. He needs to be a threat when he's on the floor, not only going coast to coast, but when he has the ball in his hands and he's shooting the ball in the corners or at the perimeter, wherever he is, he needs to have an advantage. And him working on that game, fine-tuning that jump shot, is music to my ears. We saw the result already. 6 days, and he was one of the best three-point shooters for the Knicks in the postseason. Now he's doing it again before training camp, again before the season starts. I think we can expect very good things from Josh Hart this upcoming season. And we got to say again, what a trade, what a signing. Leon Rose continues to hit home run after home run after home run. New details on Chuma Okeke's deal with the Knicks. When we first reported on the Knicks signing Okeke, we didn't have any details on the actual deal he had. Now we have more details on that deal, how it affects the Knicks in terms of the mid-level exception, if they still have that open roster spot, and all of those other points. According to the New York Post, Peter Bade, he states, the Knicks have signed Chuma Okeke to an Exhibit 10 deal. For context, Exhibit 9 and 10 contracts are known as summer or training camp contracts. They are 1 year, fully non-guaranteed deals, and they're used to bring in players for training camp competition and drills. So that means the Knicks still have one guaranteed roster spot available. And that also means that the Knicks still have their full mid-level exception that they can utilize. And that is something to watch out for. That means the free agents that are still on the market, especially those center free agents, the Knicks can go out there and they can still sign them. All of that has to do with, though, if they can fit him in that mid-level. But if all of that works, they can still use it. And shout out to Hoops Rumors for giving us more information about Okeke's deal. According to them, Okeke's deal covers a 1 year for the veterans minimum and is fully non-guaranteed. If he is released before the season begins, Okeke would be eligible for a bonus worth up to $77.5K if he agrees to join the Knicks NBA G League affiliate in Westchester for at least 60 days. Another path forward for Okeke, at least for this Knicks team, if he does stay with this team, let's say he does impress because he does have a lot of upside, the Knicks could convert his contract into a two-way deal. They have another two-way spot open. They can give that to Okeke and still remain flexible with their mid-level exception. And I think they're going to use that mid-level for another backup big. There's a number of backup bigs on the market right now, and they fit within that mid-level. And Precious Achiuwa, even though the Knicks right now have him penciled in as the backup center behind Mitchell Robinson, it doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. Anything can happen, especially in training camp, especially depending on who gets those training camp invitations. You never know who those players are going to be. They can show out. They can go out in preseason and maybe earn themselves a main roster spot. We're going to have to wait and see. But it's clear at this point in time, even though the Knicks signed Chuma Okeke, they still have that roster spot available. They still have that mid-level exception available. And they still have the ability to look at free agents and get another player on this team. And Leon Rose and this Knicks front office, they're going to bide their time. They're going to wait. And they're going to make sure that the player they add to this team has a lot of upside and they can help this team now and moving forward. Who that player is going to be, it's going to be anybody's guess. But Leon Rose, I trust him. Look at the roster we have right now. After all the moves he's made, after the current roster he's given us, how can you not trust anything that this man does? For me, this move doesn't really mean anything with Okeke because he's not going to see any time. He's on an Exhibit 10 deal. It doesn't mean anything. The move that will mean something, at least a little bit more, is how they use that mid-level exception. The way they use that and the player they bring in, it's going to say a lot about this Knicks front office and where they see this Knicks roster moving forward. How comfortable they are with the roster that they have and potentially the moves they want to make at the trade deadline. But what about you guys? What do you think about the following reports indicating that Josh Hart is going to be working on his jump shot on August 5th? And what about Okeke's deal? Do you like the fact that it's an Exhibit 10 deal and it doesn't hurt the Knicks in their cap space or their salary at all? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.